So I started out literally, I would bike to all the dog parks in Los Angeles and I would approach people, start a conversation, give them a compliment. Literally, you'd be surprised how willing people are to talk to you if all you do is compliment their dog. Or it honestly wouldn't be that hard for me to ask if I can pet your dog. You can see that I have a good interaction with my dog. Like it was not difficult. It was very excuse me. It was very simple, but it wasn't easy, if that makes sense. Getting out there, talking to people. Once you like got over the head trash and like just went out there and did it with like the mind of like, I have no plan B. I have to make this work. If it's not this, it's going to be the gas station. And that's literally what drove me, guys. I swear to God, sometimes I wouldn't go home until I had gotten at least 100 people's phone numbers. And I was smart. I didn't do that that wasn't very often, right? But I'd get lucky. I'm telling you guys, nothing was going to stop me from building this business. I was like, if I'm not successful, I will get evicted. I'll lose my apartment. I can't have that on my record. Like the things that the best way I can describe it, I don't know if this makes sense or not, but like I scared myself into success. Like I would leave super early in the morning. I would go and like, I knew that if I was just giving people my business cards, that was just wasting money. I might as well have just been throwing my business cards down the toilet. I had to get their phone number, to call them, to build up that rapport, to make that meeting with them, right? Schedule the meet and greet, etc. So I also got on all the apps. I got on a bunch of different Facebook groups. I don't remember. I think it was at this point. It might have been a little bit later, but this was literally the reason I got on Instagram, believe it or not, was to promote my pet care business. And my Instagram handle, all my handles used to be hashtag at Eric Curry's Pets. The way it's now Eric Curry Co., it all was Eric Curry's Pets because that was the name of my business for 8 years. So so that first month, I remember just hustle, grind. And this is a little blurry, I'm not gonna lie. But what I do remember is that, or I guess looking backwards, the timing of this was kind of lucky because it was the beginning of summer. So summer is a time when people are looking for this. But here's the other thing that I came to realize, that I only realized afterwards, is that because I had kind of built up that momentum during the summer, and due to the nature of my business, it was a lot of repeat clients. So, I'll get to that in a second. But what really took my business to the next level was that I had a lot of momentum built up right in time for the holidays. So I haven't really talked about the holiday season before now because I'll be honest, it's not the most pleasant time to talk about. Lots of the holidays were depressing. Lots of the holidays, I was not in touch with my family. My first Christmas, not my first Christmas, my first Thanksgiving, I was at UCLA year. It was just not the best time. Not things I want to talk about, right? Like very depressing. So now this was the time when the holidays, literally for the next almost 10 years, pretty much about 10 years, because even after I sold my business, holiday season, the money's too good. It became dogs and cats out of my ears, like just like top to bottom, like just the list, your days filled with appointments, watching dogs and cats. Mind you, at this time, I did not have a car, so I was literally biking all over Los Angeles. But a huge part of my business, the bulk of my business at this time, never again, never, ever again, was people boarding at my apartment. So either for boarding, which is for overnight, or for dog, like daycare. So they come and pick up their dogs at the end of the day. I will never, ever watch dogs out of the place, or pets for that matter, out of the place where I live ever again. Never, ever again. But I guess in a way it's good that I did it that first year because that is a very specific service that people seek. And the people that want to drop their dogs off at a place are very different from the people that want somebody to come and watch their place. So I just remember that Christmas season, that holiday season, And there have been years where I make more over Thanksgiving than over Christmas. It's very interesting, actually. So anyway, I just remember that I quickly booked up. And I just remember realizing like, oh wow, so if I handle things right and like I do my money correctly, holiday season I can make a lot of money, and that's actually, if I budget correctly, I can use the money I make during the holidays to kind of sustain myself for the next 2 months when things are kind of slow. So I can kind of use that window, that cushion, to cover my overhead for like 3 months, right? When things are kind of slow. I real like, again, this was my first time doing this like full time, and because I needed to do it. Before, I had only run businesses and taken care of pets just as a ways to make money for fun, right? But this was the beginning of me kind of learning the rhythm of my business and kind of the flow and how things kind of go throughout the year. And I'll explain why I'm even mentioning that. But that was how the rest of this year, was 2013, went. So 2014 begins. Jane gave me the most valuable Christmas present I have ever gotten in my entire life. And this was driving tickets. She gave me tickets to go to driving school. I did not have my driver's license. I was born and raised in San Francisco. Nobody drove. I learned how to drive on Sunset Boulevard. And I'm actually pretty damn good at parallel parking. So it sucks I didn't have that skill growing up when I could have used it. But anyway. So I know how to drive, right? Beginning of 2014. Here's the other thing, is that it was time for me to begin applying to go back to school. Actually, I had already done that back in November, but this is when I was going to begin hearing. So again, just because I was out of school does not mean that I had abandoned my plans to go to veterinary school. No, I'm not getting into the details of why UCLA. I did get into the details of why UCLA didn't work out, but the entire goal and plan here, folks, was to go back to school. So even though I was out of school for almost an entire year, because I'll explain that in the next video, the plan was to go back at some point. And I went back sooner than I thought, because I quickly realized that a good way of getting loan access, financial aid, is to enroll in classes. So I realized, wow, this is as good a time as any to take some classes at the local community college. Santa Monica Community College was named one of the top in the nation. Why hadn't I enrolled in classes yet? So I did do that, and I'll talk about that in the next video.